The storm struck faster than forecasted. Rain pounded the iron balcony of the lighthouse, 92 feet above the Atlantic's jagged edge. Lightning forked across the black water, illuminating Eli Ward, a 42-year-old veteran gripping a rusted railing with his left hand. His right clutched a 9-inch tactical flashlight, its beam slicing through the mist. At his side, Rex, a 90-pound German shepherd with a scar under his left ear, stood motionless. His ears swiveled once toward the spiral staircase inside, then again, sharper. A low growl, barely audible beneath the thunder. Eli froze. The dog's nose dropped to the floorboards. Old pine, 1.8 inches thick, slick with sea spray. Rex's breathing deepened. He moved precisely, paw after paw, toward a single iron hatch bolted into the floor. One Eli hadn't noticed before. The measurements were odd, 24 by 36 inches, sealed with salt-eaten screws. The wind pressure doubled, slamming the upper shutters. Eli crouched beside the hatch. His flashlight beam caught something glinting inside one of the screw heads. Not rust, but brass. Military brass. Rex's hackles rose. His body shifted in front of Eli, blocking him from the staircase. Another sound broke the storm, a hollow thud echoing from below the hatch. One, then silence. Eli's pulse raced. He tightened his grip on the light. Rex's tail went stiff. A signal Eli knew too well. Someone, or something, was under the lighthouse floor. The storm had stalked them from the harbor. By the time Eli and Rex reached the lighthouse, wind gusts were slicing at 48 miles per hour, the kind of cold that drilled straight through wool and bone. But Eli had faced worse, in places where the wind carried sand instead of salt. He'd bought the property for $4,200, listed as abandoned minor structural damage on a forgotten government auction site. It wasn't the sea view that drew him. It was the note attached to the listing. Previously operated by the Department of Coastal Defense, decommissioned 1972. Rex had been with him since the Army days, a K-9 unit survivor from a failed extraction in Kandahar. The dog moved like a shadow, all precision and instinct. No barking, no wasted motion. Their bond wasn't affection. It was unspoken protocol. When Rex froze, Eli followed. When Rex advanced, Eli covered. Inside, the lighthouse was a skeleton of metal and salt-stained stone. A steel spiral staircase, 3 feet wide, wound up to the beacon chamber. The air smelled of copper and mildew. The generator, marked Model 1969, U.S. Navy issue, sat silent. Eli traced the walls with his flashlight. Every rivet, every bolt seemed accounted for, except one section near the base that had been patched over with cement of a newer shade, roughly 2 square feet in size. It didn't fit the rest of the century-old structure. Rex's nose pressed against that same spot, his breath condensed in short bursts. The dog's paw scraped lightly at the edge, then stopped. He looked up at Eli, head tilting once to the right, their silent code for foreign scent. Eli dropped to one knee, pressing his palm to the cold surface. Something pulsed beneath it, not movement, but vibration. A low hum, electrical active. The veteran's hand tightened on his flashlight. "That's impossible," he muttered. The generator was disconnected. Rex shifted position, body half between Eli and the door, hackles rising just enough to catch the flicker of light. Outside, the storm deepened, gusts now at 56 miles per hour. The glass panes rattled like warning chimes. Then a sudden click echoed through the base chamber metal, not natural. Eli turned. Nothing moved. Rex's tail lifted horizontally, a signal for watch perimeter. Eli scanned the floor, the walls, the hatch. The sound had come from somewhere close, maybe even inside the wall. Then, faintly, from beneath the cement patch, a new noise emerged. A single mechanical beep. The beep repeated, once every 6 seconds, precise, rhythmic, like a pulse that refused to die. Eli pressed his ear to the cold concrete patch underneath the muffled hum. He could hear it, faint static, then a pop. It wasn't just a sound, it was a signal. Someone had buried electronics inside the Lighthouse foundation. Rex lowered his head, nostrils flaring. His nose brushed the lower edge of the patch. Then, a short exhale, a silent confirmation. The dog stepped back exactly 2 paces, sitting alert. Waiting for orders, Eli's flashlight swept the room. The only tools within reach were a steel pry bar, 26 inches, and his combat knife, 7-inch carbon blade. He chose the knife first, scraping a thin line across the newer concrete. The top layer peeled with surprising ease. This wasn't structural cement. It was a surface sealant, barely 0.3 inches thick. The next scrape exposed metal, flat and smooth, not rebar. A panel. He pressed harder. Beneath the storm's growl, the signal's beeping continued, now quicker. 4 seconds apart. 3. Rex's hackles stood up, tail rigid, eyes locked on the panel. He moved sideways, positioning his body between Eli and the staircase. "Good boy," Eli whispered, "stay sharp." As he dug deeper, letters became visible, faintly etched into the metal. He cleaned the grime with his sleeve. U.S. Naval Research. Do not remove Eli's pulse climbed. The last time he'd seen that insignia, it was stamped on sealed containers in a forward operations base, containers that supposedly never existed. He wedged the pry bar beneath the panel seam. The concrete cracked, one loud snap echoing up the stairwell. Rex's ears flicked toward the upper level. The wind pressure had shifted, whistling through the cracks like something massive had moved above them. Another pull. The panel gave way 1/2 inch. Beneath it, black cables snaked downward into the floor, bound together with cloth tape dated 1971. Then, the beeping stopped. Silence. Rex lowered his body, muscles tense, eyes cutting toward the door. Eli turned, flashlight raised, and froze. A shadow crossed the beam from the staircase landing. Just a flicker, quick as breath, human shape, broad shoulders, unmoving. Eli's finger brushed his sidearm. "Who's there?" No answer. Rex emitted a low growl, teeth barely visible. Stance perfect. The wind howled again, slamming the balcony door upstairs. The shadow vanished. Eli looked back at the exposed panel. A green light had appeared on the metal surface, blinking once. Then a whisper, mechanical and distorted, filled the chamber speakers. "Authorized personnel detected." The voice faded into static, then silence. Eli's grip tightened on the pry bar. Authorized personnel? He hadn't touched anything that could power a speaker. The generator was still unplugged. Its 2-inch copper cables hung loose. Rex advanced 2 paces toward the panel, sniffing once, then twice. His nostrils flared sharply, his signal for chemical scent. The dog's paw touched the floor, claws tapping twice. Deliberately, Eli crouched. The floorboard under Rex's paw gave a faint click. Eli froze, then pressed down slowly with his palm. The same click, pressure plate. The wood was 1.6 inches thick, but hollow beneath. He shifted his weight and used the pry bar again. One push. The plank lifted, revealing a rectangular cavity, 40 inches long, 18 wide, lined with steel. Inside sat a sealed metal case, about the size of a small suitcase, stamped with peeling yellow text, property of DCD, Prototype Storage Unit, B7. The hinges were fused shut with corrosion, but the padlock was newer, brass, 2 inches wide, barely aged. Eli ran his thumb across it. Someone's been here recently. Rex's ears flicked again. This time toward the narrow window slit the storm had intensified. Wind speed up to 61 miles per hour, rattling loose bolts like small metallic insects. Lightning flashed, and for a heartbeat Eli saw it. Fresh tire tracks carved into the mud path outside the lighthouse, a vehicle. 2 sets of prints leading away. He looked back at the case. Not abandoned, he whispered. Rex gave a short, stiff exhale, readiness posture. Eli wedged the knife into the padlock seam and struck with the pry bar's handle. Once, twice. The metal snapped clean. Inside lay 2 objects wrapped in waxed paper. A reel-to-reel audio tape labeled Subject 14, C Transmission. A folded blueprint, edges burnt and brittle. The tape felt warm, impossibly warm, as if powered. He flipped it, small red diode light blinking once before fading. The battery is still active. Then the floor vibrated again. A low-frequency rumble, deeper than thunder, resonant like machinery underground. Rex whirled toward the hatch they'd seen earlier in Section 1. His tail went rigid, nose to ground, tracing invisible scent lines. Then he stopped, eyes locked on Eli, and gave a sharp, singular body block to his leg. "Move," Eli murmured. The dog pressed harder, an urgency signal. Eli backed away just as the hatch bolts began to turn on their own. Rusted metal screamed one bolt, then another. The hatch lid trembled under unseen force. Rex crouched, teeth bared, body between Eli and the opening. A final bolt snapped loose. The hatch shifted, and air colder than ice hissed upward from the darkness below. Something down there. I was awake. The hiss from below lingered, metallic, measured, almost like breath drawn through machinery. Eli aimed his flashlight into the hatch. The beam dissolved into swirling dust, revealing a spiral staircase, narrower than the one above, made from cast-iron steps, each 9 inches deep, 7 wide. The air smelled like ozone and oil. Rex lowered his snout over the opening, sniffed once, then emitted a low, steady growl. His hackles lifted, but his tail stayed level. Not panic, just warning. Eli holstered his flashlight to free a hand for his pistol. "Let's see how far this goes," he muttered. The words vanished into the void. They descended. Each step echoed longer than the last. The storm outside became distant, replaced by a rhythmic hum beneath their feet. After roughly 40 feet, the stairs ended in a corridor, 5 feet wide, walls plated with stainless steel and riveted panels. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, still functional. "This thing's got power," Eli whispered. Rex padded forward, head low, ears twitching in micro-movements. He stopped beside a steel door marked Authorized Research, Room 01. A red light blinked above it. Eli reached out. Before he touched the handle, the door clicked open automatically. Inside was a lab frozen in time. Dust covered everything. A workbench, 8 feet long, cluttered with microscopes, logbooks, and cracked glass flasks. On one wall hung a faded map of the North Atlantic, circled in red marker around coordinates just 2.3 miles offshore. A sound broke the silence, faint footsteps behind them. Eli spun around, gun raised. A man stood in the corridor entrance, mid-60s, clean-shaven, wearing a tan trench coat soaked with rain. He held his hands up calmly. "Easy, soldier. I'm not your enemy." Rex growled softly but didn't lunge. Instinct reading the man's tone as controlled, not overtly hostile. "Who are you?" Eli asked, eyes steady. "My name's Dr. Latham. I used to run this facility before the government buried it. I saw your light from the bluff." He gestured to the stairs. Didn't think anyone would reopen the lower hatch. Eli kept his aim steady. You're telling me you used to work here? Latham nodded once. I was part of the Department of Coastal Defense Experimental Division. This lighthouse wasn't for ships. It was a listening post to monitor transmissions from under the ocean floor. He walked slowly toward one of the benches, picking up a glass cylinder with a black wire coiled inside. We built something down there, something that could listen to seismic vibrations that didn't match any known natural source. Then it started transmitting back. Eli frowned. Transmitting back? Latham's eyes flicked toward the ceiling. Not human frequencies. We shut it down in 72, sealed the access shaft, and left everything to rot until someone— He nodded toward the open case near Eli's feet, activated it again. Rex moved slightly in front of Eli, cutting Latham's line of approach. His ears pivoted sharply toward the far end of the corridor. Movement detected. Latham sighed. You shouldn't have broken that seal. The system down there, it's been awake for weeks now. Eli lowered the pistol slightly. Then, help me shut it down. The scientist gave a tired smile. I can, but I'll need your help to reach the secondary terminal. It's just below this level. Rex's fur bristled at the phrase below this level. His tail stiffened. Eli noticed it too. You're sure this isn't some kind of trap? Latham's voice softened, almost kindly. You have my word, Sergeant Ward. We're on the same side here. He turned to lead the way, but as he passed under the flickering fluorescent light, Eli caught it. A metal access badge on his coat pocket, marked DCD active personnel, not former. The man wasn't retired. Rex growled, low and constant, cutting through the hum, his body angled toward Latham's leg, protective stance, not attack. Eli's finger tightened slightly on the trigger. Latham looked back, smile still gentle. Careful, soldier. Down here, the only thing more dangerous than what we built is who else came to claim it. The lights flickered once, then went dark, all but a single red emergency bulb above the door. A new noise began to rise from below, a deep mechanical thrum, like gears awakening after 50 years of sleep. The red emergency light pulsed every 2 seconds, turning the corridor into a blood-tinted heartbeat. Each flash revealed new movement, the dust drifting faster, the instruments trembling on their stands. The hum beneath their boots grew into a steady vibration. Eli steadied his flashlight and scanned the walls. What's coming online? Dr. Latham's calm was gone. His breath quickened. The relay core. It's drawing power from its backup generator. We never thought it could restart on its own. Rex's ears flicked toward the hatch they came from, wind still screaming above, but now joined by a deeper resonance from beneath the floor. The dog's muscles coiled, nose to ground, then his gaze snapped toward the far end of the hallway. Something metallic was shifting behind the bulkhead. Latham grabbed a console lever and yanked it down. Switch height, 42 inches. The floor lights flickered back to life, faint and cold blue. That's when Eli saw it. The lower door, 30 feet away, sliding open inch by inch, revealing another chamber lit by pulsing green monitors. Rex crouched low, tail rigid. He let out one short growl, a signal for multiple scents detected. Stay sharp, Eli murmured, pistol raised. They moved forward slowly. The next room was circular, maybe 15 feet across. Walls lined with data cabinets and a single observation window overlooking a vertical shaft. Impossible to see the bottom of Latham pressed a button beside the console. This was our main receiver pit. His voice shook. The readings came from under that trench offshore, frequencies no sonar could explain. We thought they were just geological echoes until— A loud metallic bang cut him off. The door behind them slammed shut. Eli turned. The locking mechanism had sealed itself. A thick 4-inch steel rod sliding into place, Rex pivoted to face the sound, hackles raised, blocking Eli's flank. His breathing deepened, eyes trained on the vent above. Something was inside it. A faint scraping, then another. "Someone's controlling the locks," Eli said. Latham stepped back toward the console, hands shaking. "We need to shut down the receiver manually. The terminal's behind that panel." Before he could finish, a burst of static exploded through the intercom overhead. Then a voice, distorted, but human. "You were warned not to wake it." Rex's head whipped toward the speaker. His tail stiffened, his ears flattened, his danger imminent signal. Eli fired a shot into the ceiling speaker. Sparks fell. "Who the hell is that?" The intercom crackled again. "The ocean remembers its signals, Sergeant Ward, and it remembers you." Eli froze. "How do you know my name?" Latham's eyes darted to the floor. He didn't answer. Rex moved between them, his stance suddenly shifting. Not defensive, distrustful. "Latham," Eli said slowly, "what aren't you telling me?" The scientist's face twitched. When the facility was shut down, they needed a safeguard, a handler with clearance to reactivate the system if the readings returned. That handler was... Eli raised his pistol. "Say it." Latham swallowed. "Me." The dog lunged forward, body slamming Latham's leg before he could reach another switch. The console erupted with sparks. "Rex, off!" Eli ordered, but the damage was done. The entire room went dark, except for the vertical shaft window now glowing faintly blue from below. Latham stumbled up, clutching his leg. "You don't understand. It's alive down there. We didn't build the signal, we answered it." Rex's head snapped toward the window. His nose pressed against the glass, then recoiled. The blue glow pulsed brighter, forming strange, circular ripples of light. A low-frequency vibration filled the room. Shaking the bolts loose on the upper vents, Eli gripped Rex's collar, pulling him back as the glow surged. And for one brief instant, he saw a massive metallic structure rising from the black depths below, covered in blinking red lights, larger than any submarine he'd ever seen. The intercom sparked again. "Protocol restart complete." Latham's voice broke into a whisper. "It's the Sentinel. They were never supposed to finish it." The floor shuddered violently. Somewhere above, a siren began to wail. Rex barked once, the first sharp, functional alert of the night. Something enormous was coming up the shaft. The entire floor trembled, dust drifting from the seams in the ceiling. The siren's pitch grew higher until it blended with the deep, rising rumble from the shaft. Eli pressed his back against the wall, flashlight trained on the window. Rex stood in front of him, chest low, head forward, every muscle engaged. His ears flicked backward, twice, the code for multiple moving parts below. Latham stumbled to the control desk, slamming a palm against a keyboard. "It's activating the elevator core. It's coming up." "What's coming up?" Eli demanded. Latham turned, face pale. "The Sentinel unit, a defense construct. They said it was inert, but it's been listening. It thinks you're an intruder." The glass of the observation window rippled, the light from below now pure white. The shape rising from the shaft came into focus, a machine the size of a bus, covered in armored plating and corroded hydraulic joints. Its upper section rotated once, revealing a central lens glowing red. Eli stepped forward. "It's scanning us." Rex's tail froze midair, his body braced. His hackles rose halfway, then fully, active threat. Latham pounded at a second console. "If I can get into the manual override, I can make it stand down." But before he finished, the intercom screeched again. Manual override denied authorization expired. A mechanical claw unfolded from the Sentinel's chassis, arm length 6 feet, ending in a 3-pronged clamp. The thing lurched upward with a hiss of steam. Breaking through the reinforced floor, Rex launched sideways as debris exploded upward. Eli ducked behind a steel column, covering his head as fragments of metal sliced the air. The sound was deafening, the roar of steel reborn. Latham screamed over the noise. "It's locked onto a human signature. It won't stop." Eli shouted, "Then cut the power. The generator's in the lowest sublevel." Rex sprinted toward the shattered floor, nose to ground, tracing the path of exposed conduits. He paused by a panel, barked once, sharp and precise. Eli followed, ripping off the cover with his bare hands. Beneath, 3 thick cables pulsed with light. "Which one?" Latham hesitated. "The red, but if you—" Eli didn't wait. He fired a shot straight through the red cable. Sparks cascaded like fireworks. The entire facility dimmed. The Sentinel froze. Its central lens flickered, then went dark. For a moment, silence. Then, with a grinding sound, it rebooted, the glow returning brighter, angrier. "Backup circuit," Latham yelled. "It's using the C relay for power." The machine's head swiveled, lens focusing directly on Eli. Rex barked again, command bark this time, then sprinted toward the open maintenance shaft. Eli understood instantly. He dove aside as Rex leapt, a perfect, silent motion. Grabbing the dangling control conduit, diameter 3 inches, in his jaws and yanking downward, sparks shot through the room. The lights went white-hot, then everything went black. The Sentinel convulsed, its claws seizing midair. Its core emitted a single, dying tone before collapsing into the shaft with a metallic roar. When the shaking stopped, only the echo of the sea remained. Eli lay on his side, coughing, ears ringing. Smoke coiled around the ruined lab. "Rex!" The dog appeared through the haze, limping but standing, his right foreleg cut along the side. He padded forward and pressed his head against Eli's knee. Latham coughed, pulling himself upright. "You two just shut down a billion-dollar ghost." Eli glared at him. "You said you didn't know this thing was still active." "I didn't, but someone else did." Latham pointed at the shattered monitors where faint text scrolled automatically. "Transmission. Sent. Received." Eli frowned. "Received by who?" The scientist's face went pale. "Not by us." The building groaned. The storm's roar grew louder. The wind pressure now above 70 miles per hour, howling through new cracks in the structure. Rex turned toward the stairwell, tail low. Signal for retreat needed. Eli holstered his weapon, grabbed the tape and blueprints, and nodded. "We're not done yet. Someone on the top was waiting for that signal." A thunderclap shook the foundation. The lighthouse above groaned like it was about to collapse. Rex growled once, short and urgent. "Move now." They ran. The staircase vibrated under their boots as they climbed. The air had turned metallic, dense with salt and ozone above. Lightning flashed through the cracked skylight, each pulse revealing another missing section of railing. Rex moved ahead, steady despite his limp, ears twitching at every shift in the storm. He paused twice, testing the air. His tail lifted horizontally. Someone's here. Eli raised his flashlight. Through the open hatch to the lighthouse base, a silhouette waited, calm, unmoving, framed by flashes of white light. The beam caught a tall man in a black raincoat, gloved hands resting on a radio case, 14 inches long, 6 wide, its antenna bent from age. His face was hidden beneath the hood. "Step away from the stairs," Eli ordered. The man smiled faintly. "You got my message." Latham's breath caught behind him. That voice, it's Commander Hensley. He ran DCD operations after the shutdown. Hensley nodded. We buried that thing for a reason, Doctor, but someone had to make sure the signal survived. Rex edged forward, low growl vibrating through his chest. His tail stiffened. Not warning, target acquired. Eli kept his pistol aimed. You activated the transmission? Of course. The Sentinel wasn't a weapon, Hensley said. It was a door, and now it's open again. He tapped the side of the radio case. A soft pulse of blue light blinked through its vents. Every receiver across the coast just got the same frequency. It's awake. Everywhere. Eli's grip tightened. You killed good men for this tech. Hensley's smile vanished. No, Sergeant. I gave them purpose. Rex moved, silent as a bullet. He body-slammed Hensley's legs before the commander could reach the transmitter. The radio case flew across the floor, sliding into Eli's reach. Rex, hold, Eli shouted. The dog froze mid-lunge, waiting. Eli snatched the device and smashed it against the concrete. Circuits cracked, sparks flew. The blue light inside blinked twice, then died. Hensley staggered up, rage twisting his face. You fool, do you know what you've done? Eli stared him down. Stopped you. Before Hensley could reply, a lightning bolt struck the tower's top. The blast ripped through the steel railing, grounding through the wet floor. The shockwave threw Hensley backward into the wall. He collapsed, motionless. The smell of ozone filled the air. Rex limped to Eli's side, panting, blood mixed with rainwater. The veteran knelt, hand resting gently on the dog's head. We're done here. Latham exhaled, trembling. The signal's gone, for now. Outside, the storm began to thin, rain softening into mist, wind pressure falling to 38 miles per hour. But somewhere beneath the floor, deep in the sealed shaft, a faint sound returned. A single, distant beep. Rex's ears twitched once. His eyes met Eli's, neither moved. The storm had broken by dawn. Mist drifted off the cliffs like breath from a sleeping giant. The lighthouse stood cracked, but standing. Its beacon shattered, its walls scorched. Eli sat on the lowest step, jacket torn, flashlight dim beside him. Beside him, Rex lay curled, head resting on Eli's boot, the faint rise and fall of his chest steady and rhythmic. A small patch on his foreleg had been wrapped with Eli's field bandage, tight, clean, functional. The veteran stared toward the ocean. The waves crashed against the rocks below, each one rolling heavier than the last. Somewhere out there, 2 miles off the coast, the coordinates circled on the old map marked the spot where everything began, where something still hummed beneath the sea. Latham stood a few yards away, watching the sky pale. You should leave this place, he said quietly. It'll draw attention again, it always does. Eli nodded slowly. Maybe. He looked down at Rex, who lifted his head, eyes sharp despite exhaustion. Come on, partner, Eli said, rising. We've shut worse things down before. Rex stood, stretching once, shaking the rain from his coat. He turned toward the sea and let out a single, quiet exhale, not fear, not warning, just awareness. Eli followed his gaze. Whatever's down there, he said, it can wait. The wind caught his words, carrying them out across the gray horizon. Some secrets are buried for a reason. The brave aren't the ones who find them. They're the ones who know when to let them stay forgotten.